Hi, I'm Melissa Case from Hat to Hem, and today I'm going to show you how to make continuous bias tape. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that making bias tape is the bane of my existence. That being said, making continuous bias tape does make things a little easier. For this, you'll need the fabric out of which you're making your bias tape, a ruler, scissors, and an optional rotary blade. You don't necessarily need this, but it does make the process go a lot more quickly. If you don't have one, just draw your line with a pencil and cut with scissors. Oh, you'll need a pencil too. But before I show you how to make the tape, I should probably show you how to figure out how much you'll need. Obviously, if you're just making a bunch of bias tape for future projects, you can skip this step. But if you need a certain amount, this is how you find it. First, you need to find out how long your finished tape needs to be. We'll call this number L. Next, you need to decide how wide you want the tape to be when it's laid completely flat. So, if you're planning to fold the top and bottom under a 1/4 inch and you want your finished tape to be 2 inches wide, your axle width will be 2.5 inches. We'll call that total width W. First, you need to multiply L and W together to get, let's call it S. Then you need to find the square root of S and round it to the nearest inch or 1/2 inch. That will give us T for total. So say I need 183 inches of bias tape to go around the hem of this skirt, and I know I want the bias tape to be 2.5 inches wide since I'm planning on using this as hem facing. 183 times 2.5 is 457.5. The square root of 457.5 is simplified to 21.38. I'm going to round that up to 21.5. Be sure to keep your measurements handy moving forward. To get a perfect square, I folded the fabric in half, matching the corners. I continued to fold the fabric in half, matching the corners, until I had a triangle that was small enough to work with comfortably. This next part helps if you think of the corners as A, B, and C. You want to find half of your T number from earlier. Since my T number was 21.5, my number is 10.75. Going from point C to point A, I measured 10.75 inches, lined up my ruler from point A to point B, and I cut off the excess. And now we should have a square the size that we need. The next steps are a lot easier if you do two things. First, press a crease into the diagonal of the fabric like I just did, and second, label your sides. I just labeled mine with a pencil on the wrong side of the fabric where it won't be seen. Label the top and bottom edges A, the two side edges B, and label C on either side of that diagonal line in the center. Next, cut right along that diagonal crease so you have two triangles. You're going to swap your two triangles so the B edges are touching. You're going to match right sides together and then run a straight stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. As always, you want to press your seam flat, then open. We're at the halfway mark, and I am so glad you've made it this far. Next, we're going to draw our lines for the actual bias tape. For this, you're going to need your W number from earlier. For my tape, I measured 2.5 inches away from the C edge and drew a line. I continued this all the way across my fabric until I reached the end. Now here's the most important part. When you bring the ends of your fabric together, rather than have them match up perfectly, you want to offset the lines by 1, so you have a section hanging off on each end. This is what makes the bias tape continuous. If you don't do this, you're going to end up with a bunch of bias rings. Ask me how I know. Just like earlier, you're going to match right sides together and then run a straight stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Pressing the seam open is a lot easier if you have a tailor's ham inside the fabric. Last up, all you have to do now is cut along the line. You did it! Hopefully you have a nice long piece of bias tape now. You can use it flat like I plan to, or you can press the top and bottom under. I really hope this video helped you. If it did, please be sure to like it. This is my first time doing a video quite like this, so if you like it or have any ideas for future tutorials, let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time. Bye!